Mike McCool here. I'm in the Royal Examiner studio today, and with me is Paul Gabbert. Paul is like Gary Kushner said, what did he called himself a community advocate. So I think that's probably a good description of you as well. Paul has some comments he wants to make about our press conference from last Wednesday that the town put on. I think it's caused a lot of people to come forward with a lot of discussions and opinions, and with the 3-minute time limit, you really can't say much to town council. They really don't give the public much opportunity to speak, so we've opened up the opportunity here at the Royal Examiner. So, Paul, you have something to say, so what say you?
Yeah, well, I say, and these are my opinions. You know, I'm sure that a lot of people disagree. A lot of people do agree, but this is what I took away from the meeting last Wednesday night. What I saw was a lot of smoke and mirrors. Pat my back, I'll pat yours. Disrespect for the mayor as usual. Manipulation of the truth. The lawsuit being used as an excuse for not answering some questions put to them. Praise for the law firm being used who happens to have an office in the same small building the interim town manager has an office down in Old Town Alexandria. We do no wrong. It's either the EDA or the county that does wrong or lies. Let's go to a councilman, Seelock, condemning Jennifer McDonald and the EDA for the police station fiasco, when he was also, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, he was sat on the board of the EDA during all this time.
For part of the time.
Part of the time, yeah. Also, I saw Councilman Seelock calling out a private citizen in the audience, and no council member calling Robert's Rules of Order. They seem to only do that when citizens come to the podium. It was never, well, that's not really, this isn't as for Wednesday. And I've always said that the town council are like puppets, and the interim town manager is the puppeteer. And I saw a lot of that. He controls everything. Also, I saw the interim town manager, who is a master, and I mean a true master, at turning his mistakes and wrongs into someone else's mistakes and wrongs with clever, thought-out wording of sentences. He could convince the council, and this is what I think is funny, he could convince the council that it was raining and snowing at the same time when it was 70 degrees. And I swear all of them would run to the window and see snow. That's how bad it is. But to sum it all up, at the press conference, I witnessed an interim town manager and 6 council members whose cup ran over with nothing more than an overflow of true and overwhelming amount of BS. And that's what I took away from that meeting.
Part of what I heard was a lot of code words, meaning first of all, it was only an anticipated loan, and they used that word, so they know what the meaning of anticipated means. And then they only use things like the approved amount. So there was all these code words in there. My only concern was, why had that press conference anyway? You could have waited a week when you had a permanent loan solution, then you would have something to celebrate. So why the expediency of doing this other than for political purposes?
Political purposes, and also they were put on right there. They had to come up with something because the EDA filed a lawsuit. So they had to do something. And you know that interim town manager is not going to sit there and do nothing. He is going to say something and put the blame somewhere else.
Well, last week we interviewed Jeff Brown, the chairman now of the EDA, and he went through a step-by-step thing and explained, why the lawsuit came about, and primarily the statute of limitations were running out on the process of financing, and because we've heard rumors, they're trying to get it for free because they have no more obligation to pay for something, and in theory that was a possibility. Only person would have win on that is lawyers,
Right.
and so that was the takeaway basically from that. But a lot of blame and a lot of finger pointing, instead of just saying, well, there's a situation, they've had more than a year or more to correct the problem, and all it's gone is just a contest going back and forth, and the council really hasn't taken any action. That's how I see it.
No, they haven't. And it's sad, and that goes right back to what Mayor Kewalt was saying at Wednesday night. There was never a solid percent rate given to the town council. It was, this might be it. We're going to try to do this, but there's no guarantee. And he tried to say that, but was quickly, if you would had noticed that the interim town manager came right up and said, whoa, we can't say stuff like that because of the lawyers.
Right. Now, I know Paul is building a house, so I assume you might have a construction phase of your house, and then you'll have a permanent phase on your house. Knowing you, you're probably paying cash, but
Yeah, okay.
okay. So let's say most people would have a construction phase and a permanent phase, and the construction phase is going to cost you a little bit more money than the permanent phase, and when you start these things out, they tell you, well, this is the anticipated rate. Until you go and sign the paperwork, it could be lower or it could be more.
Right.
Is that you'll be familiar? You're getting ready to do that.
Yeah, well, we've already secured the construction loan. We've already secured the 30-year loan, the fix that we're going to do, and we may even have gotten a better interest rate than the town did. We got a 2.5% interest rate.
Right.
So
isn't that amazing?
I don't know what the town's going to get, but
Yeah. Well, there's rumor it's shy of 2%, but again, it's not a 30-year. Who knows? Well, we're assuming it's not, through the rumors we hear, that they'll still have to go out and probably what'll happen is this is going to be what I would do would be a temporary stopgap measure, and then go out, and once you resolve this legal conflict, then you can go out into the bond market, and then they can float a bond and get permanent financing for the 20 or 30-year period they elect to do that, which is something they could have done since day one. I mean, they were never locked into this loan, and I think it's almost like the point, when you're hearing the dialogue going back and forth, it sounds like we had no other choice but to take this or leave it. And one thing that Jeff Brown brought out from the EDA said they were under no obligation. They could have went out and secured financing anytime they wanted to.
anytime.
And why they didn't do that, especially they've had opportunity, as we know, a 2.65 loan they could have got. Even if they didn't want to keep that for 30 years, they could have did it and then refinance it or float a bond at a later time. So it's just all about people looking for free money. They were all excited about that $3 or $4 million that would get rolled off the loan with those new market tax credits. And even though the guy told them that it wasn't going to happen, but Jennifer McDonald, they say, convinced him that guy didn't know what he was talking about.
Yes, she convinced him.
Yeah. So that's spilled milk, but these are things that we need to look at as going forward. Are we doing our due diligence? We'll be elected officials. What really is the responsibility should they hold to their staff and to the council themselves? I mean, you do hire people to work for you, and you expect them to be trustworthy and to provide you the information you want. But like I say, you need to inspect what you expect. And so you may not have to do all the research yourself, but it would behoove you to make sure the person is telling you the truth.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of truth coming out of the town council or the interim town manager. It's twisted truth. It's a truth that they want you to
A
hear.
lot of wordsmithing.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. It's really sad. It's sad to see our local politicians. I've never seen 6 members of a town council, be so loyal to like an interim town manager, not just a town manager, but an interim town manager. It's like they don't have their own mind. They just agree with everything that he says. And I know I'm talking a lot about the interim town manager and the council, but I just, it gets me so upset because they're not doing anything for the people. They're wasting our money on lawyers. They're wasting our money on trying to get loans. It's nothing but a waste of money, and I put the whole blame on them.
Well, we have a job description for the town council, and they've overstepped their purview of where they really need to be thinking about. They're trying to, they have started a new EDA, and I caught a glimpse on the television there that they're looking for people to apply for being on that EDA board. My only question is, what are they going to develop? I mean, all the properties are owned by the current EDA,
Right.
and which they are currently marketing for the town. I mean, even though with all this turmoil, the EDA is still out there working to promote the town and promote the county for the in reference to economic development. So they don't have their head in the sand thinking, well, that's the town, we're not going to do anything for them. They're not doing that.
No.
So I don't understand it, and I think it boils down to I don't think the town council understands it either. I mean, I don't get that impression that maybe some do, some don't. Now, one thing the town can do for economic development is to revitalize and assist the current businesses that are already in our community to thrive.
Yeah,
That's one thing that they can do, and that is economic development.
Yes.
And so that's the one area that the town can take on, that the EDA has some role in that, but they're primarily recruiting businesses, the way I look at it, and the town could be, let's work on retention, because nothing worse than a bunch of empty storefronts in a downtown for new businesses. And the people that are going to locate a new business to town want to see how well the old businesses are doing. And I think that's one area that the town can take on, is business retention.
I agree. I agree 100% with that. It's the county should do their job, which is and the EDA, and the town should not be involved in those jobs.
That's right.
There's no reason to have a town EDA. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's additional expense and a duplication of service.
Right.
Well, the town's main job is to take care of our roads, water, and sewer, and electric.
Right.
That's really, and almost anything else that doesn't touch on that really is the responsibility of the county.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear. I mean, we really have been narrow, and over the years, councils have shed the Parks and Rec, because that really wasn't a town function, and the county absorbed that in, and there was some trade-offs there, and different things like that have gone on earlier. But here lately, it's like we're trying to go back to, trying to be a city, it seems like.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And you've lived in some of these cities, and I don't know if we really want to do that.
Well, my big thing about, and I saw one of the candidates that was interviewed of wanting to keep Front Royal a small town, a nice town, but yet bring in industry, bring in big business, bring in more people, and bring in jobs to where people don't have to drive to the city. That has made Front Royal what it is. People who live here drive to the city. You start bringing jobs out here and more people, and I saw it happen in Fairfax. I saw it happen in Loudoun County. 10 years. is all it takes once you start bringing big business and more people into this area, and it's not going to be Front Royal.
Right. Well, we want to maintain our small town charm, but we do need more high-paying jobs, and we need jobs that people can have more disposable income, more time where they're not commuting. People have moved out here because our cost of living was so much lower than in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. It's getting to the point now where the differential isn't quite as much, and people are starting to look at that and saying, if I got to commute, then I got to commute farther. They're going from Fairfax County, now they're going into D.C. because the jobs pay a little more, and now they're spending 4 and 5 hours a day commuting, and it wears on you. And then family relationships, everything. It's a two-edged sword.
Oh yeah, I used to. We moved to Midland after we moved out of Herndon before we came up here, and my office was down in Merrifield, and it was a 2.5 hour commute, and that, man, I tell you, that takes time away from you, and away from the kids, away from your wife, all the family stuff, and
Things that we call quality of life.
yeah, quality time. But I just, one of my feelings about bringing the high-paying jobs here is, what about the people who, I don't want to say don't have the education, but the ones who are working at McDonald's, and where are they still going to be? There's a lot of jobs out there right now. Popeyes has had a sign out in front of their place for a year. And there are a lot of jobs out there, but if we bring in all these high-paying jobs, where do these
Where's
people
the
fit
workforce?
in?
Well, that's one thing about it. Part of business retention, you have to have a workforce. In order to bring new businesses here, we have to have a workforce that is qualified to work in the businesses.
Right.
And that's something that government and education could do, is retraining our workforce for jobs of the future. It's going to be different. We're going to have our trades, I think, our skills, our plumbers, electricians, etc. And you're seeing people tout that now, saying they're paying as much. A plumber and electrician making more than a college-educated
Exactly.
Person starting off in business. So they're not low-paying jobs.
No, they're not.
And so to train that workforce into those jobs is something that we need to look at too. We have X number of people. What can they do? I think of this when I'm going across the bridges in the morning, and I'm looking at the traffic commuting out 55, and then the traffic commuting down 345, 22 coming into town. It's like the traffic is so heavy coming in, and it's heavy going out. And when I'm talking to people, I said, where are you from? Well, I was going to get my petition signed. Oh, I live in Winchester. Oh, I live in Winchester. I live in Stevens City. But they're working in Front Royal.
Yeah.
So are those jobs that people in Front Royal can do, or are they really seeking the higher payer jobs out? So, it's a dilemma. It's hard to decide what kind of jobs we have.
I don't know where those answers are at. I don't know what the new council members are going to do.
We got, people that we're going to have, hopefully, I say, 3 new council people, and it's going to be some struggle that we need to start addressing and get out of the bickering business and get into the leadership business and trying to find solutions to problems that our community has.
Yeah, the bickering. It's
all we're doing is suing ourselves.
The people are just they're just being so used. The county people are paying on the interest for the town police station.
Right.
Along with us.
That's right.
And
town, we're both town and county residents.
we're both town and county.
So anything that the county gets stuck paying, guess what? Town residents are going to pay for that.
Yep.
I don't think people have grasped that aspect of that, and not lobbying their councilmen to say, hey, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Let's figure this thing out. I don't know how you've done in business, but when you had a situation and a problem, you've sat down and figured it out and didn't sue each other. You kind of pounded out at the table, and you went into a room and you said, somebody's going to make a decision. It might be me, might make you, but
Well, I never took I never took the role as I'm always right and you're wrong. So until you see it my way, it's not going to be settled.
Right. Well, that's the way, I always use the one, whoever, just bring your checkbook. Whoever can write the check
Yeah.
is the one that normally walks away, and that's the golden rule, and that's those with the gold rule. And I think that's what we're pushing now. We're playing against who's got,
Yeah.
who's big enough to do it. But I don't know. But there's a lot of things. There's probably no a simple way.
No, there
I
isn't.
think what it does is, though, I think people need to be involved in the community. We have great things here already. If they need to be involved in the people that they elect, people say, well, no, you're a good example of people that come to the council meeting and express your opinion. We have to realize too, though, when you come and speak at a meeting, these decisions have already been made prior to you ever coming.
That's right.
And that's something that I think we need to have input, and we can do that earlier in the stage. But we do elect people that we think that will vote the way we think they will. And we do have term limits. That's called elections.
Yes.
We don't have a democracy where the person goes out and says, well, I'm trying to find out what the public wants, and then that's the way I'm going to vote. No. You vote because we elected you to make the right decisions. We assume that you have the wherewithal to make the correct decisions. And if we don't like what you vote on, then we're going to get rid of you. So, but a person in that position should be looking for people's opinions, advice from experts, not so much experts, see where the town and the community is going, to see where their tax monies are going to be spent, and just to verify, hey, am I going the right direction? And
Right.
maybe I can be convinced that my idea was wrong, and or maybe it needs a little improvement. But I think that needs to be done much earlier in the stage, and that's one thing I'm hoping that the new council will be able to see, that we can use our committees that we haven't been doing this last couple terms. It's been several election cycles that we haven't had any citizens in committees advising our town leaders on things, and I think that's one thing that we can improve in. So.
Oh, I think so. We do. We need council members that are going to listen, and not already have their minds made up. And it's just it's sad to see the way it's going right now.
Yeah. I do appreciate you coming in. Of course, this is all opinions and commentary.
It's fact. Come on, Mike. It's all
I want to
fact.
say, maybe people don't always agree with yours or my opinion.
No,
but,
they do not.
But if you don't, you're welcome to come in and have a little town talk. And that's the great thing about people can come in and give them an opportunity to vent. And they're not getting it at the council or the meetings. We're back to, for a while there, I thought the Board of Supervisors was, they kind of went the other extreme. You were having 30-minute.
Yeah, what happened to that?
So that goes back to, like I was saying, there is a time and a place for that. And I think we need to make those available, have some town halls much earlier in the game of things where people can come in and express their opinions and views without a 3-minute time limit on it. And that's one thing committees can do. Oh, you're concerned about economic development? Okay, your committee of 6, 8, 10 people get together, and then when you come and do a report that's concise and factual, where people have already pounded out the 14 different opinions and come up with a consensus
Right.
to present to the council and say, this is the way the community is going. Here's the consensus. Instead of 14 people coming individually and doing something, they've already worked out the problems and thought things through and went through 10 steps, to come up with a solution. So we're just not doing that. And I think that would be vital information that any leadership would want.
It is. It is vital. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting on a council with some other people on the sheriff's department, where we get together and look at what the sheriff's department is doing, about the body cameras, how they should be used, and in the situations that are happening today. So, and I will say they're listening to us, and And I wish the town could go the same way.
Yeah, I think it will. We'll see how the new council goes in January, and hopefully we can get some new leadership and and go down a different road, or at least attempt to do the best we can. I think that's really, even give credit. Maybe this is the best they can do,
Right.
and so if that's the best we can do, it's time for maybe someone else to give it a try.
Time for somebody else.
Yeah.
But while I've got you on the spot,
Okay.
I look for Mr. T-Walt to be on the council, and I look for you to be the mayor.
Well, I appreciate that. So I appreciate that. So, I think anyone should be, doing the best that they possibly can do, and they're doing it for the right reasons. So, like I always say, you look at somebody when you're hiring him for a job, and that's really what this is. I've been campaigning on, being a champion for the town, and if you look back on history, that's what I've done for quite a few years. And it's just like you speaking out. This is not something you did one time. You have a history now of things, and when people look at you and say, well, you are a community advocate. What you're looking at, these things don't benefit Paul Gabbert.
No, they don't.
They benefit the community as a whole. And or let's start the dialogue. Maybe I'm wrong. Convince me otherwise. That's really, you can accept a no as gracefully as a yes.
Yes.
And so I think that's what we need to do, and that's what we need to do, going forward in our town, is get the community involved. We were here earlier today, and we spoke to the chief of police and of the Police Foundation, and Crystal Klein was here as well with the police department. We're talking about National Night Out, but part of that is community partnering. Bringing the police and the community together.
Right.
Because like what they said, they can't do it without the community. There's only so many pairs of eyes that can see what's going on, and they need the community. And I think that's true in everything. That's what we have here. We have a community. It's not them and us. It's all of us.
Right.
And I think we just need to learn to work together and make sure that what road we're going down is the road we want to go to, and that we all benefit and we bring everybody along with us.
Right.
When it happens.
And Mike, something else that really bothers me, and it scares me in a way. We have a board of supervisor that is backing one of the councilmen right now to be reelected. And the problem that I have is somebody answered her Facebook page when she endorsed this person, and the person commented back, well, I really don't know who she is, but if she's good enough for you, she's good enough for me. You can't go that way. You have to look at the candidates. You have to research them. You have to know what they're about. You just can't say, oh, well, Mike, you like so-and-so, so that's good enough for me.
Right. I had someone write me an email that says, can't you just write a little paragraph about each candidate? I don't have time to watch your interviews. Okay, but then you're getting my biased opinion.
Right.
I can throw out a couple of names I'd like you to vote for, but are they going to be the people that you want to vote for?
Exactly.
And we've Michael Graham I invited in to interview all the candidates. He's a former town manager. He has a little insight on what the town needs. He's probably biased a little bit on his part, but I think he knows more than I've never been a town manager. So but he has. So he's interviewed. But the one thing he did do, we put out 20 topics. You pick any topic you want to say. Pick 5 topics you want to talk about, and that's all we're going to talk about. So we have. There's no attacking and questioning and interviewing. It's a discussion on the topics the candidates chose. So how much unbiased and fair can you be?
Exactly.
And then we're hoping to come back next month in October and do it again with 5 more topics, so the public can get a really grasp of what these candidates are all about, more than a 30-second soundbite.
I hope they do, because if you don't really know the candidates, if you don't check out who they are, what they're for, it's going to stay the same old thing.
We've invited all the candidates, all 8 town council members that are running, the 3 people that are running on for mayor. We've had one council person come on already sent a note back, says they can't come to the council, to the interview because they're just too busy. They're out knocking door to door and they're calling, they got this and that, an excuse that they can't participate. And that's okay. That's their choice. Maybe they've decided to go another route. They're going to go to the chamber forum tomorrow. But the chamber's going to ask you 5 or 6 questions, and you got 2 minutes to tell you what it's about, and you're going to make a decision on that. This is what part of our problem has been in the past. Too little time, because we don't know all the candidates.
No.
People don't know you, and even in an interview, can they tell what it's about?
Yeah.
So we're just hoping that people will watch these things. Some of them gone 45 minutes to 50 minutes, but we hope that they're interesting and you can glean some character from people as we go through.
I've seen a couple of things on each candidate that I wasn't aware, and some of it was good and some of it wasn't good. So, you're doing a good job, or Mike is on the
Sure.
on the interviews, and I hope people watch. People, they just need to take the time.
Just take the time and be involved in our community. We want to keep it a great place. We just need to make it a little better. And I think if we can be involved in our community, and it starts with electing the people that you think will do the best job for you and for the community and bring everyone along. That's what I think. So,
Well, everybody, and a lot of people agree with me, the people who don't say, I'm nothing but a troublemaker. As soon as we got new people on the Board of Supervisors, I was nothing but compliment. And I still feel the same way. And if we can get a new town council, I'll stop all of this.
well, maybe you'll just change your tactic.
There you go.
Change your focus
Yep.
on something else. But
Yep.
I think being involved in our community is a great thing. But I do appreciate you coming in and talking to us, sharing some of your ideas. Let me, I'm accused of doing all the talking, and I probably talked more than you did, but I apologize for that. But,
You did fine. And by the way, your paper isn't a tabloid.
oh, that's right. It's not fake news because people say, well, you're biased. And I said, well, I give you the video to watch so you can form your own opinion. No one is going to be 100% unbiased. We all bring that in our daily lives. We all bring in our opinions into everything.
Yes.
But when you put the video, it's like a body cam that you're talking about. When you see the footage, it's from start to finish, and you get a different perspective and you can form your own opinion.
Right.
Don't listen to stuff on Facebook.
Listen or look at the videos from the town council meetings.
Yeah.
Form your own opinion.
Yeah, we do a lot of that, and Mark here in our studio with us now is, he's at a lot of these meetings where I'm there. We go out onto the street, we interview people that visit here, we interview businesses, we try to involve the entire community in what's going on. And the good stuff, we try not to do too much bad stuff, but there is some of that around, but we want to try to eliminate that as we can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't see how Mark stands up there all that time filming these meetings and not getting a backache.
Well, he's young.
I'm telling you, he
He's
must
younger
be.
than we are. He's got hair. Well,
Yeah.
you've got a little hair, but
Well, it's all in back.
yeah, you're one of those guys. You haven't grown up yet, Paul.
No, I don't plan to either.
Well, I do appreciate coming in. And again, if anyone wants to come in and talk to us on a town talk, that's the purpose of these things, to get together, to help our community. And you're more than welcome. Just send me an email at news@royalexaminer.com and we'll put you on the schedule. All right. Thanks again, Paul.
Thank you, Mike.